Laura, have you got a question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Let's just see how we're doing with the votes. Maybe.
Although there have been some reports of shifts in the position, the EU is officially, and the government is officially saying the backstop and the withdrawal agreement will not be reopened. I'd like to ask you, what do you know that we don't?
Ladies and gentlemen, how could I possibly know more than the BBC? Barry said in his kind introduction that I am modest, but to say I knew more than the BBC would be a height of presumption. I think the truth is that everybody wants a deal. The Prime Minister wants a deal, the EU wants a deal, the Irish want a deal. And if the only way to get it is by reopening the text, that is what they will have to do. This is realpolitik. And if they do that, then people like me will consider what is done. But what people like me are not saying is that here's a blank cheque to get a few warm words and then suddenly we'll change our minds. It has to be legally binding. And bear in mind, there is a protocol to the Lisbon Treaty that said the Charter of Fundamental Rights would have no effect in British law, which turned out to be meaningless. So we are on the alert for meaningless soft soap.
I'll now take a question here from Emily from ITN.
If No Deal is taken off the table by MPs, would you encourage fellow Brexiters to back the Prime Minister's deal, even if she can't get rid of the backstop?
If No Deal were taken off the table, Her Majesty's government would have had to have connived in doing that. It cannot be done if the government is determined to stop it. I referred to extraordinary constitutional situations. If the House of Commons undermines our basic constitutional conventions, then the executive is entitled to use other vestigial constitutional means to stop it, by which I basically mean prorogation. And prorogation normally lasts for 3 days, but any law that is in the process before prorogation falls. And I think that would be the government's answer. That is the government's backstop, to use a choice phrase. And that if the government allows No Deal to be taken off the table, that would be a failure of the government, and then it would be the job of backbench MPs to hold the government to account.
Gentleman on the front row, could you give your name and your media outlet, please?
Mr. Rees Mogg, if the Prime Minister does in the end conclude that she needs the support of Labour MPs to get this deal through and tilts towards a customs union, what happens to your party?
I want the Conservative Party to be united, and I will do everything I can to ensure that that is the case. But the numbers aren't there. Look at the vote last week. There were 110 Eurosceptics, thanks to Marc Francois. There were 10 DUP. It's 120. There were a few pro-Europeans as well, who I'm not counting in our group. You need to get 120. Actually, you need 115 to overturn the previous vote. Jeremy Corbyn is never going to support Theresa May. I think that's fairly obvious from everything that he has said. So the Prime Minister would need to get 115 votes from Hilary Benn and Yvette Cooper, etc. They just don't have those numbers. So it is not a route that the government can take, because the government is far too intelligent not to be able to count.
Yes, sir. Could you give your name and outlet, please?
Mr. Rees Mogg, Ross Kempsall from Talk Radio. On the solution on the backstop, is a red line for you reopening the withdrawal agreement to remove the backstop text, or are you happy potentially to accept a third kind of document a third way that's tagged onto the withdrawal agreement or political declaration, which provides something that you're happy with?
With that, it's all in the detail. Article 4 of this great document, which you probably have all learned off by heart, says that it is superior law. So anything else, any change to the backstop or any of the other text would have to be equally superior law. If it's secondary law or it's simply a motion in the House of Commons, that would not be enough.
Yes, sir. Could you give it? Okay.
The Prime Minister, Theo Ashford-LBC, the Prime Minister in the House of Commons today wasn't explicit in ruling out any form of customs union as has been proposed by the Labour leadership, although not in a private meeting with the Prime Minister. What would you and your fellow colleagues do if the Prime Minister went down this route of trying to do some sort of deal with the Labour leadership to get the deal through?
Well, first of all, thank you for a question from LBC. If you listen between 6 and 7 on Fridays, you can call in and tell me how marvellous Brexit is. You'll be very welcome. Or you can ring from the Communist Party, who was here earlier, and give us some balance. Look, I just don't think the numbers are there for Labour to get it through. And I don't think the withdrawal agreement is going to settle our final trading relationship. That is going to come later. So I don't think it's realistic. But would I vote against a customs union? Yes, I would. The customs union is the building block of the European Union. It's what it started with. It is what makes the cost of food, clothing and footwear more expensive, hitting the least well-off in our society the most. The benefits of leaving come in part from being out of the customs union.
You need it? Gentleman here on the front row. Again, could you give your name and organisation?
Sure. Jack Maiden from the Daily Telegraph. Mr. Rees Mogg, could you just clarify, are you saying that you want, in order to support Theresa May's deal, the backstop would have to be removed from the withdrawal agreement, or are you saying that you could accept it if a change was made to it within the withdrawal agreement, perhaps a unilateral exit mechanism, or what people call a sunset clause? Thank you.
I'm a very easygoing sort of fellow. If an amendment were to be made to say that the following pages do not apply, but they remain in the text, I would accept that. So there are variants around it just being cut out and the poor printers having a great work to do to reset the document and print it all again. But no, it has to be clear that the backstop does not apply. The backstop is not Brexit. That is the problem with the backstop. It's why the EU wants it, and it's why I don't.
Mr. Jacob Rees Mogg.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My right honourable friend, and she is unquestionably honourable, said that we would leave the customs union. Annex 2 says otherwise. My right honourable friend said that she would maintain the integrity of the United Kingdom. A whole protocol says otherwise. My right honourable friend said that we would be out of the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice. Article 174 says otherwise. As what my right honourable friend says and what my right honourable friend does no longer match, should I not write to my right honourable friend, the member for Altrincham and Sale West?
Prime Minister.
Can I say to my honourable friend, can I say to my honourable friend, we will indeed, he has referred to the articles that relate to the protocol in the withdrawal agreement. I have been absolutely clear that some difficult choices have had to be made in relation to that protocol. Those choices have been made because I believe, and I strongly and firmly believe, it is important that we do ensure that there is no hard border between Northern Ireland and Ireland. But, as I have said before, my honourable friend has heard me say before, it is not only our intention, but we will be working to ensure that that protocol does not need to be put into place. What we are negotiating alongside that withdrawal agreement is not something that will be of a temporary nature, but what will be a lasting future relationship with the European Union, which will last for decades to come. And in that future relationship, we will no longer be a member of the customs union. We will no longer be a member of the single market. An end to free movement will have been delivered. The integrity of the United Kingdom will have been maintained. The jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice in the United Kingdom will end, and we will come out of the common agricultural policy and the common fisheries policy. As I ask my honourable friend to consider the nature of the future relationship that we will be delivering with the European Union, which does indeed deliver on the commitments that I've made.